Hello, YouTube. I got a question from the homie asking how I mix my vocals. And it's a really good question because I'm about to go to sleep, but I felt like doing the video and just getting it done. Um, okay. First of all, before I go into the computer, probably tomorrow morning, and I'm gonna show you the actual EQ and whatever. But I was thinking that's actually not mixing the vocals is actually not that hard because I've experimented a lot and I've got a process down that's like really easy, fast process. And I read the book by Bruce Sweden Method. He was the engineer that worked with Michael Jackson. And I did a YouTube video a while ago. It's like how to choose the type of microphone for you. And since then, that was like a while ago, maybe 4 years ago or something. But I've learned a lot from that video, and I want to share you my knowledge with that before I go jump on the computer because doing the mix on the mix, I have a process for that too. So I can't really tell you just put this plug in and put that plug in because it doesn't work that way. The Bruce Sweden method is it really starts with the vocalist and the microphone and the preamp and the console and the producer and the blah 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 blah. And everything has to be high quality, natural, and he doesn't like compression. He tries to use the least amount of stuff as possible because he wants to record it naturally, get it right in the beginning on the tracking stage. So I don't know if you guys know about that method, but I kind of rant a little bit, so I take my time with it. So just hear me out, guys, because we're gonna go on a journey, okay? So first things first, talk about microphones. Um, most studios, budget studios that I went to in LA and I scoped it out on the specs, most of them have a Neumann 102. That's the cheapest Neumann microphone available. I think the capsule is the same as the U87, if I'm not mistaken. But it's bright. It's super bright. And I've used that mic before, and I used a U87. The expensive studios, they'll have maybe like a 103, like the fat Neumann ones. And those sound good. But so the budget Neumanns have super bright sound. And they work really well because they actually cut through the mix, but they're very bright. And so a lot of people or not, maybe not a lot of people, I don't know, but from the impressions that I get from YouTube and from other engineers, whatever, they like to overcomplicate things, and they'll get the mic signal, and then they'll have some compression and they'll do some EQ and blah blah blah. And I don't do that. I don't do that anymore. I've gone to a point in my artistry, engineering artistry or whatever, where I want things as easy as possible. So let me give you some quick things that I've learned not to do. Okay, step number one, this is a ribbon microphone. Don't use this for vocals. I learned this the hard way because it's actually a very beautiful sound. And I love the sound of this ribbon mic. But on vocals, it's not a good idea. Why? Because people are used to the Neumann sound. And this doesn't have that brightness. The Neumanns have a brightness, it's clear, and it's musical. And it's good. So people, when they hear this, I recorded Life of Cholo mixtape or slash album. It's not a mixtape, it's an album. And I did Cholo 2.0 with the Royer, and it doesn't sound right because people are used to the Neumann. And I went to there's a website where you pay people to listen to your track, and they're like, oh, I'll put it on my playlist or whatever. I forgot the name of that right now, but a couple comments were that they didn't like the vocals because they weren't clear enough or something like that. And the other mistake I did was I built my own vocal booth, try to save some money, and I did it. Like I went to Home Depot and I built the chingadera, and my dad helped me a little bit, and I put, and it just didn't work. And it was really hot in there, and it sucked. It sucked. It really did. Um, and then and then the other problem with this is that you need a preamp because they're not that loud. So imagine you use a preamp. What's a preamp? Something like this that I just bought a couple days ago, and then it just boosts everything. And I have a tube amp too, but I don't even want to use those because they're too powerful and they're noisy as hell. So that being said, but sometimes you have to use these things. So if you use these, word to the wise, um, I'm I will say try to make it not so saturated. So you gotta have apparently the preamp like really low and the gain really high, and then just find that sweet spot where it's like not saturated, like just as close to transparent as possible. Because these preamps, they saturate it, and if you overdo it because you think it sounds good, and then you just realize that it's just too much. It's just too much coloration, specifically in like the lower mids, like 1K and lower, and then I don't know. It's just too much. It's just too much. So you got to be careful with those. Okay, moving on. The other thing is, so let's say you get a Neumann, right? This is not a Neumann. This is a cheapy microphone. Don't record on a cheapy microphone because why? These cheapy microphones, they're too harsh on the top end. It doesn't sound good. And the problem is that, and that's a condenser microphone thing, right? They sound really bright, really crispy on the top end. But the cheapy ones are too bright, too crispy, and they kind of distort a little bit. So the problem is that people put the compressors on, and then with the condenser microphones, it's like everything sounds good, and then when those S's or consonants come on, it's just like it hits you in the face. It's like, holy shit. It's like, is this a hi-hat? No, it's just this dude is it's just too much compression and condenser mic situation. So here's the deal, guys. So if you go to the studios, they'll have the Neumann 102, right? Budget ones. They might have a 103. It's not as bright as the 102, but it has this kind of edge on it. It's like this is not as high pitch. It's like a little bit less, but this is edge. It's kind of a little bit harsh on the ears, and that's not a big deal unless they add the compression and all that stuff to it. So that's what makes it a big deal, right? If you just leave that stuff alone, it's not bad. But when they start doing all this stuff, like that's when it starts to sound bad. So what do I do? So okay, so the other thing, with the go to the studio, sometimes I've been to this. It happened to me twice where the Neumanns, the 102s or 103s are broken. Some asshole broke them. I don't know why. They probably dropped it and it's like the capsule's like wiggly, or I don't know, man, but they broke them. So I got to the point where I'm like, okay, well, I want something that's like rock solid reliable. I did want a Neumann. I used to have a U87. I sold it because I was broke. Long story. And I had an Avalon preamp, like the Dr. Dre style. But I am using this microphone now. And I may in the future get a U87 again, or I might get I was thinking about getting a kit, like a do-it-yourself U87 clone. Because the U87s are nice. They're nice, I'm not gonna lie. But the Neumanns, I love the Neumanns, but it can get a little too bright where it's just like some people don't like that about the Neumanns. But this one, I notice it's nice because it sounds in between a ribbon mic and a condenser. And this is a Austrian audio. and it has a ceramic capsule. This is new. It's a new technology. They're the guys that used to work at AKG. And AKG, they're the ones that make headphones and microphones. And by the way, well, I'll get to that in a bit. So that's why I like it. I was doing a lot of research on YouTube and I liked it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get me one of these. And I got one that was like a demo on Sweetwater or whatever, save some money or whatever. I don't even remember, but I always try to save a couple bucks. And so anyways, and I like it. And what I like about it is that I could push the high end. And it's soft like a ribbon, but not too soft. And so I get a nice sound that is in between a ribbon and a condenser mic. It sounds pretty good. Okay, so the other thing I gotta tell you guys what's going on here. So I have a new approach to my mic setup. Watch my video, but I have this pop killer and this shitty pop filter. This is like I got my homies, you got a fucking dish sponge? I was like, no. This is $100 dish sponge made for killing peas. And I put it like that. And when I record, like no problem. And then what I like about this is that it sounds good. Because if you use one of these, it has a slight filter, EQ filter. And these ones are transparent, almost transparent, right? Or I think they are transparent, but because if you put one of these, it's like, yeah. So that's why it's like everything's very, very calculated. And this one's $100. But together like this, they work well. Because I've tried double meshes, I've tried all kinds of stuff, and this works perfectly. Okay, so then that way you don't have to spend like an hour or whatever editing your vocals. It saves you time. There's a lot of times when you're like listening to a vocal and then there's like this P is too strong or this S is too harsh, and sometimes you can fix it, sometimes you can't fix it. And sometimes you had to like lower the gain, lower the volume on the waveform. But with these filters, I'm telling you guys, it's nice. And I like these headphones because the bass is not too loud and they're very comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Very comfortable. These AKGs, very comfortable. I had Bayer Dynamics. They're not comfortable. After a while, they're like, these are too heavy, dude. And then the bass was too like loud. And I don't like to monitor on headphones. I used to when I was younger, but like, just to work on stuff. I don't anymore. I use cheap computer speakers to work, like really, really small, cheap computer speakers. And then when I master now, then I'll put the speakers on, and I'm very, very careful with my ears. Guys, trust me, I had ear injury, it sucks. I'm still recovering. These headphones are nice. They're very comfortable. That's why I like them. And when I'm doing my recording, I'm recording on this M audio. And I really love this M audio. And it has a USB direct knob where I could just put it like over here, and I'll hear a lot of my voice and medium of the beat. I don't want it too loud. I want to hear my voice like really loud, like almost like maybe like twice as loud as the beat or something like that loud. Like want my voice, because then that way I can like get every pocket of the rhythm, like bam, So the problem with this, guys, it's not too loud. So I have to really push the gain. That's why I got the preamp. But with a Neumann, they're pretty hot. So you might not need a preamp with this. This preamp is pretty good. It has this crystal preamp and it's actually very good, like very clear, like very transparent. Like I was shocked. And this is easy to use. I record on my iPad. I don't need an engineer. Okay, So now that I got that out of the way, I have to, and I know this video is long, but I'm telling you guys, like, most of the work is in the preparation. Like Bruce Lee. If you read those Bruce Lee books, like I did, I was a big Bruce Lee fan. He said most of, like, don't underestimate the warm-up, because that warm-up is just as important as the actual fighting or the actual exercise or whatever. My point being is that I have a vocal warm-up routine that I do, and then I practice my song. So if I, like, let's say I'm gonna record on Saturday, I'm gonna do my warm-up and I'm gonna practice the song Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then when I get on Saturday, I'm good to go. Like, I know the song, I know how to rap it, I know how to sing it, whatever. And when I get to the studio, I'll book 2 hours, I'll be late half an hour, I'll warm up, knock the song out in 30 minutes, and then leave before that 2 hours is done. It's pretty much. Um, so like I honestly just need one hour or less to record one song. Cause once I do like 3 takes, like I'm hot, like let's go, you know? And I record the whole verse or the whole chorus on one take, you know? And and there's a very important reason why I'm telling you get this, because when you're warmed up and you're using your diaphragm and you have a good tone, then you have a good tone. And when you record, the waves are very consistent, I've noticed. Because I used to record a lot of people in high school, and they would be all over the place. And I've noticed that as long as you have a good tone and you're not overdoing it, you're controlled. If you want to be intense, you're intense, but you're controlled. You're not yelling, then you're good. You don't need a compressor. You don't need a compressor. You don't need EQ. You have a good tone. You already know the tone of the song. So that's where it comes in to the mixing. And I have one verse or chorus, and then I'll have 2 other ones like this. And I'll split them like this. And the funny thing is, Timbaland does the same thing. I saw a video on Timbaland when he was doing the masterclass. I bought that masterclass thing, and I saw Timbaland, he was doing the same shit I'm doing. And I'm like, damn, I thought, I was blown away. I'm like, I'm telling people the real deal. I'm the real deal Holyfield. I'm telling them what Timbaland does. So anyways, so those other tracks, split them like this. And then I will go onto the computer and show you what kinds of EQ and reverbs and stuff. But that's mixing the vocals pretty much. And then if you have this mic, I'll use the Neve, and I'll show you right on the computer. But I'll even use the Neve because I like that Neve plugin. It's close to the real thing. Then I'll bump up the treble. Okay, bam. Just a tiny bit of mid. Okay, bam. And I'm talking about smidgets, and it sounds good. Time when you have a problem is I overcolor it with a preamp. Then I have to get in there and carve some stuff because it's too weird sounding. It's too much. With the Neve or with the Neumann, I instead of boosting the treble a lot, I'll boost the mids a lot more than the treble, right? Because it already has a good treble. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the microphone that you use, the tone, the voice, the projection, if you already have a good sound, you don't have to butcher it. You don't have to do too much. You don't have to put a compressor. You don't have to do this. There's only certain things that if there's a certain spot on the actual recording that is like maybe it peaks a little too much, then you could just snip it and then shrink it on the waveform, and then you're good to go. You don't have to use a compressor. And then yeah, pretty much. And then just make sure that when you're mixing that the vocals are the main part, and then everything is balanced. And then for the kick and snare and bass to be snappy, that's where we get into mix, uh, a different area where it's mix, mastering that I do, that I'm doing now, where I feed it through the Sun Mixer, um, and then it goes through a tube preamp, and then that's where the magic happens, and it actually sounds clear and more punchy and stuff. But I'll do the same thing with the snares and the kicks that I do on the vocals, which I'll just add a little bit more high end, a little bit more mids from the EQ. Add a little bit of reverb to the vocals, and we're good to go. If you want to add some plugins like tape saturation or whatever, you can, and I'm gonna show you on the computer. But you don't really need to. In fact, any reverb is there's some that are gonna fit the song better than others on certain things, but on a standard whatever hip hop song or song, you don't need a lot of. It doesn't matter what reverb you use, really, to be honest, because if you have the good recorded sound, like, all you gotta do is match the reverb to the song. That's pretty much right. And like I said, you don't really need to do anything. You know, just make sure that the verses, that they're just kind of like the same volume, and that's it. I've seen other YouTubes where they do all kinds of shit to, like, they I'm telling you guys, the engineers, they butcher the shit out of everything. That's why I stopped wanting to pay engineers. I stopped wanting to pay mastering engineers, because I had a lot of bad experience. And the best one that I go to for mastering, they don't really do too much. They maybe, they just make sure, the EQ's right, that doesn't hurt your ears, and then they'll probably run it through a tube amp or something, just to warm it up a little bit, and then that's it. They don't do too much. But these other people, I'm gonna call them cowboys. They want to butcher it, or call them butchers, because they butcher it. They really do. They want us like, oh, well, there was this one guy, I was like, he's like working with this guy and that guy. He's like, yeah, man, I want to make, it's a hip hop vocal, so it's gotta sound dirty. You gotta dirty it up. I'm like, okay, I guess. But the truth is that as long as the vocals are clear and they don't hurt your ears, there's no problem areas with the vocals. As long as the kicks, snares, and bass is punchy, then that's it. That's all you really need to do. That's really it. And everything, everything else, it's gonna fit. It'll fit. But that's it. Because these engineers, they do too much. They wanna run everything through a tube amp. They wanna do all this. It's crazy. You really don't need to do too much. Because once you got the mix, if you run it through the summing mixer or a console and you print it out, and you add that tube or you add some neeps to it, it'll sound nice. So, okay, I know this was long, so thanks for watching, but I'm gonna go to the computer and I'm gonna show you the actual plugins that I'm using these days. I got a good deal on the Waves during like some holiday or whatever, so I'm using those plugins now, and they're just easy to use. And I like how it emulates the vintage stuff, so it's like easy to use. But there's some good ones. I got this contact stuff that's pretty cool. It's a digital one. All right, cool. So I'm gonna go on the computer. All right, folks, we're rolling. I'm gonna go into the computer and show you guys how I do this. Now, I'm gonna show you FOMO song, my newest song, and I recorded it with the Austrian Audio mic and the preamp, but the preamp, it was like a little too saturated, so I had some problems. I'm gonna show you what happened. Okay, so vocals. You can see, okay, so as you can see, I have my verses that I did all nice and tidy. One shot, did my chorus, And then this part right here, like I had this part like that went like that, and I wanted to like do a separate EQ, but it turns out I didn't really need to do that, so just ignore this part, this sound. And then you can see VL and VR. So what I say is like verse left, verse right, and these are the ad libs that I do the V shape. And then these are some woos, which are the same thing as the verse, the same technique, but these are for the chorus. And I put them on a separate group because I had a separate reverb effect on those. Okay, so let me show you under the hood. It's kind of disorganized because I didn't really clean it up, but so excuse the mess on there. So I was working on it, and anyways, okay. So I ended up using this EQ, this Ableton EQ, because I said there was some problem areas with the preamp. It was like a little too like boxy sounding. And then the studio, I don't know, man. It didn't like come out as good as I wanted it to. So I had to cut a little bit here, as you can see. And then I ended up using this reverb here, this round reverb from Contact. And you can see the native instruments. And I added just like a little bit. So I'll play it for you guys so you can hear it. I'm making so much money in my life. I'm Ric Flair macking on your wife. I'm staking all the crypto I can find. Watching money print to go. Making so much money in my life. I'm Ric Flair macking on your wife. I'm stacking all the crypto I can find. Watching money print to go. And check it one time. I've been rapping all my life, turning water into wine, homie, huh? Check it 2 times. Every month I'm going blind, trying to visualize the find, homie, huh? Storytelling rhymes a clip fold. 16 triples, manipulate the tempo. From drum machines to crypto, climbing up in smiles, but nobody gives a shit though. 21-year-olds, Bitcoined up, I see. iPhones doing everything 3 to 5G. Shoes Iverson, MJ, and Barkley. From MySpace to POTUS getting kicked off the tweet wrongly. Going blunt, wrapped or origami. Yeah. Now they got oils godly and costly. Yeah. I used to buy CDs out the trunk. Now I'm buying fake coins when the market dumps. Yeah, I'm making so much money in my life. So I'll just do those ad libs and like kind of like 50 Cent style. It's like very simple, or just like couple ad libs on the keywords, nothing too fancy. There's some rappers that are just be like, yeah, yeah, like Pacquiao, like I don't know how many vocal tracks he'd have, but he'd be like screaming shit in the background, like all crazy. But me, it's simple. It's just one main one and then a V shape of the ad libs on the keywords and some accents, and that's it. That's it. Let me show you. Oh yeah, and on the woos, I did the same thing. I did the same EQ as the verses, and then I added this Abbey Roads, very low on the mix, and I used this one. It was Stones Vibes, and then I added another delay that was Replica. Okay, so I'll show you what it sounds like. I'm making so much money in my life. I'm Ric Flair macking on your wife. I'm staking all the crypto I can find. Watching money print to go. Making so much money in my life. I'm Ric Flair macking on your wife. I'm stacking all the crypto I can find. Homie, woo! Okay, let's go back. Homie, woo! Homie, woo! Homie, woo! FOMO. Homie, woo! Why isn't this one? Homie, woo! Fine. Sorry, guys. Let's retract that. Homie, woo! Homie, woo! Homie, woo! Same technique. FOMO. Homie, woo! Homie, woo! Homie, woo! FOMO. And then there was some parts in these verses and the choruses and stuff where I did trim some, not trim, but like I took these like words and put the gain down a little bit, as you can see. There was just some words that were just like there were just some words that were just a little bit too they didn't sound bad, but it was just like a little too loud. And then when I would print, it would be like digitally distorted, like just it was just a little too loud. So I put those down, and then I got everything done. So by the time, let's see, from master, I think this is it, untrimmed. By the time I printed, I ended up doing 24 revisions, but there weren't. It wasn't like it was like 2 days of work, like to get in the ballpark, the next day to fine tune it. And it was just like fine tuning it so I could hit a sweet spot where like it wasn't distorted and it was as loud as I can get it. And yeah, pretty much. And it was just like a couple tweaks, like, oh, like it was just like little stupid things. And I was like, just double check the peaks. Okay, that one didn't work. Okay, let me redo it again. Let me redo it. So as you can see, um, or maybe you can't see, actually. Damn. Window capture. Oh, fuck. Yeah, Audacity. Okay. Are we still recording? So as you can see, this is the master print that I ended up doing for FOMO, and everything is very clean. I didn't boost any gain or anything. This is the print. This is the print, believe it or not. And I have a reference track. Son of a bitch, Joel. Where is it? Footage, exports, footage. No. Where's the reference? And I have a reference track that I used because that was like similar song called Thug Style by Tupac, because that was like the similar like feeling that I was going for the song FOMO. And as you can see on his master, it's super compressed and hot, and all the peaks are clipping pretty much. But I think this they had, the analog, they had a good ADA converter, and they this is like analog clipping, and then they just captured it. I think that's what they did. But as you can see, like I'm never gonna have my music like that, because it just I don't do that. I want mine clean, like super clean like this. And the reason is because I want it so when you turn my music up, you could keep turning up and keep turning up and keep turning up, and it always sounds good. Cause sometimes like when it's over compressed like this, like you could turn up, and then it's like, okay, I can't turn it up anymore. It's like way too fucking loud. And that the reason why is because the like Bruce Sweden said, the magic's in the transients. So if you take all the space out, there's nowhere to go. Like you have to let those peaks breathe, and that's how you get the punchiness. So even though the other one, the Tupac track, it's gonna sound louder and better at lower volumes, at the end of the day, when you keep turning mine up, keep turning mine up, keep turning mine up, it's always gonna sound good. Like holy shit, Cholo, like and it's not over compressed. They hit your ears like nice. You know what I mean? Your ears are like, okay, cool. Anyways, let me show you other tracks of how I mix the vocals. Take two. All right, we're rolling. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you guys another song. This one is out, Diamond Hands, recorded with the Austrian audio mic, and it was without the preamp. And this was in the same studio. Okay. Driving, got hands cut like diamonds. Check out the ride that I'm driving. I got hands cut like diamonds. Check out the ride that I'm driving. I got hands cut like diamonds. Let me show you what I did. I got the Neve. I added a little bit. Now remember, like I didn't use a preamp, so I had room to push it on the Neve. Just on the Sheps. A little bit low, a little bit mid, a little bit high. Just a little bit like this. There's a preset called Vocal 2. And then, but I tweaked it. I tweaked it a little bit. So I lowered the preset levels a little bit. And then I added this vocal plate from Abbey Road's plates. And I just used a little bit. Like 3. It was on 3, and then the pre-delay. So it was like a little bit. And then that was it. And then this VU is just to kind of show me the levels, but as you can see, did the same process. The verses, VL, VR. This one I did a VM, so it was like another ad lib, but it was like a little off center. I'll show you right here. It was like a little off center right here. And that was it. Check out the ride that I'm driving. I got hands, crypto. Let me tell you what I'm into. XRP in my pistol. An XLM to assist though. I wanna get paid like a bankster. Stack more crypt than paper. Buy on the dip and the shaker. Chorus, everything was grouped in the same vocal group. And the only thing that I changed was on the chorus, I added a talkie effect from Ableton. And the CLCR, I added some delay. And watch, you can hear it. I got hands cut like diamonds. Check out the ride that I'm driving. Got hands cut like diamonds. Check out the ride that I'm driving. I got hands cut like diamonds. Check out the ride that I'm driving. I got hands cut like diamonds. Gains, crypto. So on the chorus, it was like a little bit like a tiny bit robotic with some more delay, you know, like spaceship. Okay, so anyways, there it is, dude, guys. Yeah, that's how you do it. And then like for mixing again, that's like a process. So I don't record to a stereo pair beat anymore. I make my own beats, or I work with other people and we collabo, and I use the stems. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Okay, bye.